Hey Shark fans, it's your pal Ian. We're here to talk about the game tonight, which is the Sharks beating the Montreal Canadiens 4-0. Alex Stalock recording a much needed shutout after having a lot of really rough outings lately. Normally right now I would do a post called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but because I've already written a ton today and I'm kind of up a little bit later than I want to be, I figured I'd do a video and get us done that way. So you'll have to suffice with dealing with me rambling. However, if you do ever want to read any of my actual written pieces, you can always find them at ianblogsharks.blogspot.ca. That all out of the way. Now let's talk about some Sharks hockey. Like I said, Alex Stalock, a big shutout tonight. Big win for him. He needed this so badly because his last starts have been pretty much atrocious. But not only was it a good night for Alex Daylock, it was a really good night for the Sharks in general. A lot of people were really down on the Sharks, yours truly included. I was very much, pretty much doom and gloom about this team for the past few weeks, especially going to the trade deadline, watching them trade assets. Obviously, I think they did the right thing still. It's nice to see that they got a win. And before I go super into anything else, I'll say it's good that they got a win, but we've seen this script before. We've seen the Sharks, the Sharks earlier in January, they beat Chicago, they beat LA, they beat Anaheim, three, back to back to back, and then just went on this horrible spin. So I'm not trying to get too excited. I'm trying to temper my expectations. But at the same time, you want to enjoy tonight because tonight was one of the best games that we've probably seen them play all year, which says a lot, unfortunately. I thought there was a lot of really good stand-up performance tonight. I'd be obviously remiss if I didn't bring up the newest acquisition for the San Jose Sharks, which would be Ben Smith. We picked him up from Chicago for Desjardins, and I am totally going to miss Desjardins, unfortunately. But I think the trade's a good trade for the Sharks. I think Desjardins wasn't coming back anyway. I think he gets kind of crapped on a little more than he should because, in my opinion, Desi kind of had to just carry around a lot of dead weight on his line and still did a pretty admirable job. But enough about the trade deadline stuff. Ben Smith gets off the plane, rides the bike for 5 minutes, puts on a jersey, gets a goal and an assist, and he was everywhere tonight. That line was everywhere tonight. Thomas Hurdle, uh, Ben Smith, and Tommy Wingles, right? Tommy Wingles. I mean, this line was just everywhere tonight. It seemed like they were always on the ice. There's always something happening when they were on the ice. It was such a amazing, just amazing game by that line. It looked like Hurdle was kind of playing center depending on which side the draw was on. So I'm hoping to see Hurdle play a little more center since that was, apparently the plan. But if Ben Smith keeps playing center, I'm not going to argue with that either based on the results of tonight. But it wasn't just the new guy that stood out. Joe Pavelski snapped a 6-game goalless streak. Patrick Marleau, the most maligned guy on the Sharks. Unfortunately, he's pretty much on pace to all his numbers are on pace to do everything that he's normally done in his career. Unfortunately, his shooting percentage is garbage this year, but he got a really nice goal tonight. Pavelski got a goal, like I said. So it was really, it was just a solid effort by the Sharks. Another Shark that stood out to me. It'd be interesting if, the one complaint about the Sharks this year has been their defense, and their defense was great tonight. If you would have told me 2 weeks ago that you were going to put Burns and Irwin on a line, I probably would have just cried in front of you right then and there. And it was actually a really good combination, which was surprising because they're both irresponsible as hell with the puck sometimes. But tonight it worked out. They worked out really well. I thought Mirko Mueller had a really good game after not getting a lot of action and probably put up in the NHL a little sooner than we wanted him to be. Hindsight's 2020, obviously, but I think that Mirko Mueller, who I've been a big fan of, despite the obvious greenness of him, I think he had a really good game tonight. He made that really nice play where he lost his footing and still managed to swing his stick around and break up the play. But not just that play. I think overall he had a really good game. I mean, obviously Stalock did play well, but his defense in front of him, they were on. They blocked shots. Brent Burns was amazing on defense, which, like I said, again, if you would have told me that Matt Irwin and Brent Burns was going to be one of your better defense pairs, I would probably have laughed and then cried when I figured out it was actually going to happen. Um, Interesting that the Sharks go back to Braun and Vlasic. I think that Braun and Vlasic are a good pair. I think that this year has kind of shown that maybe Braun isn't as good though as we thought he was, because when you took him away from Vlasic, who is one of the most vastly underrated defensemen in the league, obviously, he kind of suffered for it, and I don't know if maybe we might be paying Braun a little too much, but all in all, again, a good game by the defense, top to bottom, a great game by the defense. What else can we talk about tonight? There's not a whole lot. I mean, it was a pretty solid game, and I don't want to ramble forever, but yeah, no, pretty much that's it. We had a good game, 4 lines clicking. I didn't really notice the fourth line though. The fourth line being tonight, I want to say it was Chris Tierney, John Scott, and I'm not even sure who was playing the win. Maybe was it Goodrow? Maybe, I'm not sure. I didn't really notice them, which is fine because I didn't notice them in a bad way, but I didn't really notice them in a good way either. I don't think they were on the ice very much. It seemed like the Sharks were really, really more heavily relying on their top 3 lines, which in my opinion is fine. So where does this leave the Sharks? Well, now the Sharks are up to 70 points. Looks like they are tied with for third in the division, which is playoff space is actually more in reach than maybe I've let on. I think that I haven't checked the percentages yet, but the Sharks have a path in. There's been some really fortunate things that have happened for them as far as other things going on with other teams. Calgary losing Giordano has been just devastating for them. Last I checked, they had lost 3 in a row since they've lost Giordano, and that's a big loss for them. And I don't know. I think Calgary was playing with house money anyway. I don't think anyone expected them to be here. I certainly called them a bottom team in the offseason, going into the season when you're doing all your predictions. I thought they were going to be a lottery team. I didn't expect this from them. So I think, you know, that's a hardworking team, and if I'm a Calgary fan, I'm disappointed, but I'm happy because the future of that team is going to be fantastic. Also, LA, they're kind of stumbling around a bit. They could heat up again, though. That's the team that worries me the most right now, is that they could heat up and really put the afterburners on. They have games in hand on us, but for now, I mean, it's not. I don't want to get people too excited and say the Sharks are in, but the Sharks' playoff hopes look a lot brighter after tonight than they did 2 nights ago. But that being said, temper your enthusiasm, because we don't know what Sharks team is going to show up in Vancouver tomorrow, and that's unfortunately something we have to say this season, because we've seen the Sharks do this before. We've seen the Sharks have these amazing games, and you think that, okay, this is it, now they're turning the corner, and then it just doesn't happen. So temper your enthusiasm, enjoy the win. Don't not enjoy the win, please. Temper your enthusiasm, and go Sharks, and let's hope that we can just continue this against Vancouver tomorrow, because at this point, all the Sharks need to do is win. It doesn't matter how they win. Wins are what matters. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. Have yourself a good night.